Hello, year ones. How are you? Great to see you. Although I can't actually see you, but you can see me, yeah? And that's good. Mr. Morrissey here with the first ever problem of the week. This is something that's going to be happening every week for a while. I'm going to be setting you a maths problem. I'll work through some examples to show you the idea, and then I'll give you some problems to work through by yourselves. I'm using some new technology and new software, so I'm not used to it. So please bear with me. Bear with me. Bear with me. Let's get started. Silly. Okay, so we are starting to look at something called multiplication. And to understand multiplication, you need to understand what we mean by equal groups as well as unequal groups. So that's our focus today. Equal and unequal groups and identifying them. So let's look at some examples and then I'll give you some problems to do. If you look at the pencils here, are they in equal or unequal groups? Well, you can see that there is not the same number of pencils on each plate. Same means equal. They're not the same. They're unequal. And by groups, we mean, look, these pencils together are one group. That's another group, and that's another group. So these are unequal groups. There's three groups, but they're unequal. So what about here? Equal or unequal groups? What do you think? Well, let me see. There are three groups and there's two in each of the groups. So they're the same. So they are equal groups. They are equal. Next one. Have a look here. Equal or unequal groups? Let me see. There's two groups of pencils. Can you see that? One group here, one group here. And in each group, there's 5 pencils. One group of 5, another group of 5. So these are equal groups. You getting the idea? What about this one? Equal or unequal groups? Well, there are 1, 2, 3, 4 groups, and there's 3 butterflies in each group. So again, these are equal groups. Did you spot that? What about this one? Equal or unequal groups? We've got 3 groups of cars, 1 group of cars, 2 groups of cars, 3 groups of cars, but there's not the same number in each one. There's 2 in this group, 3 in this group, and 2 in this group. They're not all the same, so they are unequal. If even one group is different, they are unequal groups. Equal groups, every single group must have the same number. And then look at these cats, these groups of cats. There are 3 groups of cats. Are they equal or unequal groups? Well, hopefully you can see they're unequal because there's not the same number of cats in each group. Does that make sense? I hope so. Okay, let's look at the next section. So the next thing we're going to think about is describing how many groups there are and how many are in each group. And this is only when you're talking about equal groups. Only when you're talking about equal groups. So if we look at some of the examples we had before of equal groups, and this can be a little bit confusing. We're thinking about how many groups there are and how many are in each group. And sometimes it takes the children a little while to get the hang of this. So do persevere and think carefully. So here, we've got our stem sentence. It says there are groups of . So in the first blank, we're putting how many groups there are. There are how many groups. So can you see that there are 2 groups? And then there's groups of what? How many are in each group? Well, there's 5 pencils in each group. So I'll write a 5 here. There are 2 groups of 5 pencils. In this example, there are groups of . So in the first blank, it's how many groups there are. And there are 3 groups in total. And how many are in each group? There are 2 in each group. So there are 3 groups of 2 cubes. And then last example. Here, do you think you can say what goes in the gaps? There are groups of Well, remember in the first gap, it's how many groups there are. So here there are 4 groups of 3. 4 groups of 3 butterflies. Here there's some questions for you to do in your own time. At the very end, I will show you the answers to these. Take your time over those. I've also got some extra challenges for you when those are done, which I'm going to show you now. Here. So in the first one, it says use concrete materials, so use things around the house or pictures to complete those questions. Jemima has 4 equal groups. So what could Jemima's groups look like? Kim has 3 unequal groups. What could Kim's groups look like? And then I have some extra activities as well to keep you going. So how many different ways can you put 12 objects into equal groups? If you can find 12 of something, 12 Lego pieces or 12 cuddly toys, how many different ways can you put all of those 12 items into equal groups and make a note of them? Can you write a story involving equal groups? Can you write a story involving unequal groups? And look out for equal and unequal groups in the coming week. Where do you see them? Now, I'm going to show you the answers to the first set of questions in a moment, so make sure you pause unless you want to see them. And here they are. If you got those right, well done. And if you got those wrong, no problem. Just think carefully about why those answers are correct. That's it for this week. It's been so great beaming into your homes. Look after yourselves. I miss you so much, and I'll see you next week. Take care. Bye. Bye.